Art and creativity is such a personal thing. There's no getting around that. It comes from your heart and your soul. It does not get more personal than that. So it takes a lot of courage to put that out there.
You're listening to Thrive by Design, business, marketing, and lifestyle strategies for your jewelry brand to flourish and thrive. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Thrive by Design podcast, episode number 94. This is Tracy Matthews, your host today, and you are in for a treat because we're going to talk about how to attract massive publicity, basically applying for grants and awards, or as I like to say, free money. Anyway, I have a very special guest on the show today, Hillary Halstead Scott. The Halstead Company has been a huge partner with Flourish and Thrive over the past several years, and we just love having Hillary on the show. She also spoke at our live event last year in 2016, and I'm thrilled to have Hillary on the show today because we're going to be talking about how to leverage applying for grants and awards and also winning those awards to get extra publicity for your business, which is a great way to get the word out about your brand, right? And we're always trying to do that. We're always trying to get more sales and exposure through all of our efforts, everything that we do. So I'm excited to dive in because not only is Hillary amazing, she even spoke at our live event last year, and I've had her on the podcast before. I love chatting with her. But Halstead is just a really great company and a really great vendor, family-owned business, which I really love, and a great supplier of wholesale products to the jewelry industry and trade. So they have tons of beads and raw materials and everything that you need to build your jewelry brand and, purchase your products at wholesale. So they work primarily wholesale, but I'm very excited to tell you a little bit more about Hillary because today we're going to talk about how to attract massive publicity by applying for grants and awards. So Hillary Halstead Scott is the Vice President and Marketing Director of Halstead Bead Inc., an importer and wholesale distributor of supplies for the jewelry trade. She holds a dual degree, MBA, and a Master's of International Management from the University of Arizona and Thunderbird School of Global Management. She took over her family business about 6 years ago to elevate the company, which had outgrown its business model, to restructure Halstead to the brand that it is today. Halstead Scott is the visionary behind an annual business development grant competition sponsored by Halstead Bead that awards startup capital, supplies, and industry exposure to an emerging American jewelry designer each year. Applicants must submit a design portfolio and a business plan for consideration. All finalists have the opportunity to receive critiques of their business plans as a feedback mechanism for their development. Details on the grant can be found at halsteadbead.com/grant. All right, we're super excited to have Hillary on the show today. I'm thrilled. So let's dive right into the episode. Today, I have a very special guest on the show, Hillary Halstead Scott of halsteadbead.com. Halstead is a really amazing supplier of jewelry findings and supplies and materials and so many things for jewelry designers. And I'm excited to have Hillary here today. So thanks for joining me, Hillary.
Thanks for having me, Tracy. I'm thrilled to be here.
I remember the first time that I met you. We were in Bryant Park, and I know I'd been speaking to your marketing person at the time, Mercedes, for a while, and we ended up sitting down to dinner, or to lunch, I should say, and we started talking about the business of jewelry. I started telling you about my story. You started telling me about your story, and I felt like I was just nodding at you the whole time because we like to talk about the same things.
We do, and it's so energizing to get together with like-minded people.
It's so fun, and I love talking about the business of jewelry because it's so important for people to start reframing the way that they approach their business and start thinking like a jewelry superstar or business owner, which is fun. And we always get that out of you. So welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So we're going to talk about a lot of things today. And in particular, it's really about getting publicity, doing something that people might not think is really a publicity attracting thing. And that's applying for awards and grants. So you have some experience with this because every year Halstead releases an amazing grant. We're going to talk about that at the end of the episode. So I'm excited about that. But I know you've seen some really great insights because you've watched and sort of juried, I guess you could say, hundreds or maybe thousands of designers who've gone through your grant process. and seen how they've been able to leverage some pretty massive publicity.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And I think there are a lot of ways you can approach awards. So let's get into it.
Let's talk about it. So before we dive in, for people who maybe haven't heard our previous interviews together, or they don't know that much about you or the halsteadbead.com company, why don't you tell me a little bit more about yourself and your journey and sort of your brand Halstead? And there's a lot more that's involved in that, I know, but not everyone knows. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. Okay, so Halstead has been around for 43 years. It was a company that was started by my parents long ago. They were amazing entrepreneurs, and they've been serving the trade a long time. So I am the second generation at Halstead. It is still a family company, and we are really proud of that. It's a small group of us here. Yeah, there's 30 of us here in the building, and we're all really committed to small jewelry businesses and what we do. So it's a passion business for us for sure, and I love being here. So my background is in business. I have an MBA and another master's in international business, and I decided to come back to the business 15 years ago. So it's exciting. I just had that 15-year anniversary since I came back. Yeah, it was kind of a big number. I was a little bit surprised, actually. So I came back all those years ago, and I think I always knew I would come back to the family business. It had so much to offer and so much I loved. But I think the reason I came back really boils down to impact. And I imagine a lot of your listeners can relate to that. Being a small business owner means you get to have a tremendous amount of impact through what you do every day. With your customers, with your employees, with your suppliers, you really get to run your professional life on your own terms, which is such a thrilling thing for anybody that has that entrepreneurial drive. It just feels really right. So I think that was my big reason for coming back, and I've never, ever regretted it. I love my job. So 10 years ago, we began the Halstead Grant. And I know we're going to talk a lot more about that program, but it was just such a natural progression from my background and the history of the company and what we wanted to do for our field and really the core identity of our brand. So everything about it just felt right. And we're so excited to still be supporting that program all these years later.
Well, I love it because, I think I've talked about this before, and I remember we were sharing your grant with our community for months before the enrollment date closed or the entry date closed. And what I think is so great about it is it's like, why not apply? Because it's free money, whether or not you win or lose. It's just a great opportunity to get clearer on your business goals and your business plan and to really think things throw so that you're not just flying by the seat of your pants, that you actually are thinking who you're reaching and stuff. And so I remember looking at your application, and it's just really, really thoughtful and amazing. So I'm excited to talk about that later. We won't spill the beans yet, but. So tell me a little bit more. So you started the grant 10 years ago. You've been really involved in the company for the last 15 years. I mean, I know a little bit more about your history. I remember you telling stories about you playing with beads under the table when you were a little girl and stuff like that. But tell me why, how the grant came about, or why you're so passionate about awards and grants that you guys decided to start this.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm such a believer in small business and what a powerful force for good that can be. Like I talked about before, even if your sphere of influence is very small as a small business owner, it is something, you own it, and not just in the literal sense, right? You have such direct impact on the people around you, and the decisions you make become so meaningful when you run your own business. So I feel like all of us as small business owners, there's kind of a camaraderie around that. It's a tough gig. People think it looks very easy from the outside and, you can take vacation whenever you want. I bet you come into the office at 10 and, if you don't want to work that day, you just skip it. Well, any of us who actually do it know that's really far from the truth, right? It's really tough, and it's full of self-doubt and soul searching and really hard times, and then also really great times. So I feel this tremendous kinship with other business leaders, and also a responsibility to help new people who are starting on that path. I think mentorship is such a powerful thing. And I know I am so grateful to my parents as my primary mentors and so many other professionals I've known through my life, and all of the wisdom and support I have from those relationships. So I felt like a grant program is a great way to do that and provide a framework and a support system and just a motivation for people to take some steps that can be really scary.
That's so great. And it's so awesome to see how you're supporting small business, because you guys are, in the technical sense, considered a small business, and then you're supporting small business by, working with them and really helping them grow their business. And I love it. I mean, that's what we're here to do too. So
that's right.
For me, it's exciting. I'm really passionate, just as passionate about it as you are.
Yeah. I think we have that in common.
So what do you think some of the reasons that designers they might find out about a grant or an award or some sort of opportunity where they can, sort of dive into something a tool or something that would really help either give them more exposure or help generate an influx in cash in their business. Why do you think some designers don't actually apply for it? And why is it important for designers and makers to consistently apply for these awards and grants?
Yeah, you got it. I mean, I think art and creativity is such a personal thing. There's no getting around that. It comes from your heart and your soul, and you make things with your own hands. And it does not get more personal than that. So it takes a lot of courage to put that out there. And putting it out there as a business is a huge step. And that requires so much bravery. And I have a lot of respect for jewelry artists for taking that step and overcoming that fear surrounding that decision. That's really tough to do. I think even after you overcome that first hurdle, there are so many hurdles that follow. And applying for an award can be one of them. You are putting yourself up for judgment, and, as a juror, of course, I don't look at it that way, but I can understand that, you are offering up something from your heart and your soul to be judged against others. And it's kind of scary. You might lose. You might, not get the affirmation you're hoping for, and that can be really crushing. So I think that's a big reason it's tough to overcome that. But what I would suggest is just a total mindset shift around awards, because it is such a huge opportunity, and we're going to get into the reasons why. Obviously, there's benefit to be gained from winning an award, whether there's a cash prize or just the recognition and publicity. That's a huge benefit right there. But even applying for the award, even if you don't win, there are some real benefits to including award applications as part of your marketing strategy. So the first thing I really want to emphasize when you're approaching awards, whatever awards you choose, is think of this as part of your marketing program and your marketing strategy, and try and make it less personal. It's not personal for the jury. This is not a judgment on you as a person. It is not saying your work is bad if you don't win. Far from it. These come down to some really tough decisions. Yeah. They're very, very tough decisions. And there's so much talent out there. But see it as an opportunity and a way to get your brand out there. So let's get into that a little bit more. There's a lot of ways once you make that first mindset shift to approach awards as part of your marketing, a lot of things kind of follow from that. Change in perspective. So I'd say, first and foremost, a barrier for a lot of people when they look at these awards is sometimes the fees can be really high. And the Halstead grant does not have an entry fee, but I know some of the others do.
So they charge an entry, a fee to actually apply. Okay, cool.
Yep, some awards do for sure. And that's something to keep in mind if you're looking at awards, is you need to set aside some money for this. And I encourage you to look at that as part of your marketing budget, and again, win or lose, there are things to be gained from marketing. And we all know that marketing can be kind of nebulous. And sometimes, the results are elusive and hard to measure, and awards are kind of part of that. So how you approach it really matters. So those entry fees can be seen as part of your marketing budget. And there are ways to align award applications with other things you're doing in the business so it doesn't feel so much like you're taking a step away from other responsibilities. So I've got 2 key suggestions on that.
Okay. Let's hear it.
All right. Are you ready?
I am ready. I'm so ready. I'm taking notes right now.
Okay, so the first is thinking about the actual submissions to awards. So usually an award is going to want either a complete portfolio or they may just want one specific submission piece. Okay. So this is the time to pull all the stops and bring out your showstopper pieces. And sometimes this can be a really valuable creative exercise for you to explore a new technique or a new direction in your collection, push your limits, and create a piece that is marketing bait.
Awesome.
So this isn't just a piece for an award. This is a piece of jewelry that you can use in other ways in your business. This is going to go on your postcards. Maybe you'll put it on your business card. Maybe it'll be the front page of your website for the next 3 months. So it doesn't feel like you're just doing this for the award. There are other benefits you're going to gain from this time in your schedule. So use it as a chance to stretch yourself creatively, maybe pick some higher end materials, splurge a little bit there, push your boundaries, and really use this as a creative exercise at your bench.
Fun. That's the best part, right?
And yeah, it is. That's the fun part, right? You get to create something that's just, bigger and bolder. And then the second suggestion is to try to align your award submission calendar with other business goals you have. So I'll give you a couple of examples.
Okay, great.
So let's say you keep intending to create a bridal collection and a bridesmaid collection, but it's just hard to find the time with everything else you have going on. So align that goal with your award submission calendar and say, I'm going to apply for X award. The deadline is in April. I'm going to have pieces for a bridal collection. I'm going to submit them as part of that award process. And that way, win or lose, I have something I'm walking away with. And win, all that much better. I have a great way to launch this collection because not only is it new and exciting, but it also maybe just won an award or was in the finalist selection set. And that's a way to help you catapult that into your business.
That's pretty amazing, to think about it, because a lot of people put off, I'm raising my hand right now because I've been putting off launching my ready to wear collection because I'm kind of busy over Flourish and Thrive. But I'm that's a great sort of accountability piece. I have to have it done because I'm submitting to this award, and it lights a fire under your butte to make sure that you get it done. I love that. Okay, cool.
So line those things up, sync them up, kill two birds with one stone. In business, that can be the name of the game. That can be the difference between it sitting on your back burner and getting it done, right? So, sit down with your calendar a little bit ahead. These awards, they don't move much. A lot of them have been going on for years and years, and the deadlines are pretty much always in the same month. So you can look ahead and kind of put those on your radar and kind of see what makes sense with that. What else do I want to achieve? How can I approach them both in parallel?
Awesome. Okay, cool. Can you only apply or win once, or can you keep doing it over and over again?
I think it depends on the award,
Okay.
I've seen all sorts of variations out there. So I think that raises a good point. Do your research and find your best fits. There are some awards, that you can apply to year after year, every single year. The Halstead
And
Grant.
you keep winning it.
Yeah, and keep winning. That's wonderful. The Halstead Grant is for emerging artists. So, there's a little bit more of a time window for our particular award, but there are a lot of them out there. So,
okay,
yeah,
awesome.
What's available?
So I've never really thought of it this way. I loved it when we were talking about this conversation and sort of deciding on our, what we're going to talk about today. But applying for awards and grants can really be a great way to leverage and get tons of exposure. So what are some of the ways a designer can leverage this, even beyond what you've already spoken about when they're winning an award to get more publicity and really maximize that publicity?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd love to talk about winning and then kind of back up from there. If you win an award, it is not the end of the process. It's kind of a new beginning.
Yep.
So winning is wonderful. It is something to be celebrated, but it also means the hustle is just starting. So if you really want to maximize an award, you need to kind of integrate it into your marketing. So again, coming at this with a strategic mindset about awards as an opportunity kind of changes your whole perspective. So let's say you win an award. That's awesome. You get this phone call, you get a check or a trophy. Wonderful. But what do you do with that? So this is a great newsworthy event to talk about with your client base, with prospective wholesale accounts, and with the media in your local area, in your trade, and in any parallel industries that you're using for co-branding. This is a reason for a conversation. And marketing, no matter how you look at it, marketing is a conversation, right? And this is your topic. So you have something to celebrate and present out there. And I know you have a lot of great content, Tracy, on PR and how to create an awesome press kit, how to do pitches. This is where you start to stretch all those muscles. All of that media attention is not just going to land on your doorstep after you get an award. You got to go get it.
Yes.
You got to go get it.
You
and
gotta
you got
go
to
get
work
it.
for it. Yeah, you really do. So I think that's something that's a little bit of a surprise to people sometimes when they win an award. And with our particular grant, people who have really been able to run with that success and use it as a launch pad are the ones who kind of embrace that whole PR process that really just begins when you win. You're going to have to set aside some time and attention to kind of hustle up that coverage.
Yeah, so I love that. And, I'm thinking of so many other ways that you can leverage it too. I mean, this is like, you want to sort of kind of plaster it everywhere. I mean, you'd want to like promote yourself, like on social media, be tagging, whatever.
Don't be shy. It's not the time for modesty, right?
It is not time to hide under a rock at all.
No way. This is marketing. So this is not bragging. This is marketing, and this is putting your business out there. So there is nothing to feel shy about. You need to sing it to the mountains.
Absolutely. And like one of the things for our About Page formula has to do with like sharing accolades and things that you do. And this should also be something that is, I mean, it sounds obvious, but I think a lot of people don't remember that like you've done important things, and it just makes you sound even more elevated than you already are. And
that's right.
I know that people feel weird about it, but you need to talk about these things, even if you do feel weird. And I think one of the biggest things, it's like, when you get like a big opportunity or an opportunity to be on, you win an award, or you get a recognition from, an organization, or you get something featured on a celebrity, or you get exposure in a magazine, all these different things. Like these are things that it's sort of like they can all be tied together in a way, because like it's a different kind of win in each of those situations, right?
Mm-hmm.
But those placements aren't going to be the thing that actually gets you the press. It's how you leverage it after.
That's right. And it adds to your credibility. And it just kind of starts to build your momentum. Things get a little easier and easier as you build up that resume.
Absolutely. And it creates like a massive amounts of social proof to prove to people that you're legit.
That's absolutely true. And the thing I'd like to add to that, because, imagining the win and what comes from the win, is really compelling. But there's a piece of opportunity here that I think a lot of people often miss. And that is looking at the awards you apply to and look at who is sponsoring them and who is jurying them. And if you look across awards in our industry, you will see that people in those awards programs are some of the most influential people in our trade. So I want you to think about when you're putting together your award applications, this is networking.
Yeah.
Even if you do not win, you are getting your brand, your story, and your portfolio in front of some tremendously influential people in the business. And great things can come of that. So I'll give you some examples. We've juried, like you said, thousands of jewelry artists over the years. And over the years, every year, at least once, I will connect people based on that program. And oftentimes they are people who are not even finalists. Mm-hmm. But an opportunity will come across my desk and it'll trigger something in my memory about someone whose portfolio I saw. And I'll say, oh my gosh, this is such a great fit. These people need to talk to each other. And I'll reach out to both of them and put them together. So opportunity comes from putting yourself in front of these jurors and knowing who they are.
What's interesting is that one of your winners, so we had when in your grant last year, we've had a ton of Flourish and Thrive people, I think, apply. And a couple of people in our community were chosen as finalists, which was awesome. And one of the biggest things that stood out from last year's process was not only did one of our last year's mastermind students was selected as a finalist, but one of the people who you selected as a finalist ended up joining our mastermind the next year because they found out about us through our sort of cross-promotion thing, how we were doing it. And I think you had told Kristen to go to our live event or something, or she found out about it.
Yep.
And that's how she found out about our mastermind. And now she is, just totally thriving. So the opportunities are like endless of what could happen, because it might be exposure. It might be something that's going to really grow your business or connect you to other kinds of people or influences or businesses that can like take your business to the next level. In a lot of different ways.
In unexpected ways.
Yeah.
And I think something to keep in mind too is if you think about the process of jurying and jurors in a room, I know from personal experience, we do not always agree.
Yeah.
And you got to think about that. You may have really created an advocate for your business and your brand among one of these influencers, and you may never know unless you reach out, introduce yourself to one of those jurors the next time you see them at an industry event, and you might be surprised at the response. I've had people introduce themselves to me years after applying who didn't win. I know exactly who they are when they come up and introduce themselves, and we can have a great conversation, and it's the beginning of a relationship from there. Again, it becomes networking. So these jurors are real people. They're having to make a really hard decision, and you may be creating advocate. And it's important to kind of reach out, reach out for feedback, reach out just to say hello, reach out to say thank you for volunteering your time to jury. Because believe me, this is a lot of time and effort. And usually jurors are volunteering. Just those small kindnesses, just like you would approach networking in general. Think of, this awards group as an opportunity for that.
Absolutely. And I think that's such a great point to make. So would you recommend, this is just like a little sidebar question, because Robin and I are all about like reaching out. Like, would you reach out to these jurors?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like before you have, because, a lot of people don't travel to events or they're not able to make it at times, even though we highly recommend it. And we think everyone should go to our Flourish and Thrive live event in September. But
me too. It's fabulous. You should go.
It's so awesome. But when, like a lot of times, like sometimes people can't make it or whatever. So how do you recommend, like, let's say you find out X, Y, and Z person is on a jury and you're like a fangirl of them and you want to reach out to them. How would you do it? Like, what would you say to do?
I would send an email or, reach out to them on Facebook and just do it in a really kind, low pressure way and just say, my name is so-and-so. I'm familiar with what you do through the grant program. I would love to shake your hand. I'm going to be at this event and I hope our paths cross. And then when you introduce yourself, there's already a little bit of a preview.
Yeah.
And if I saw that on my Facebook feed, I would probably say, if I didn't recognize your name, I would probably Google you or find out who you were. And I'd be, excited to shake your hand and say, oh, that's great. Yeah, I was looking forward to meeting you. It's so nice to see your face in person. And, like I said, these people are their people. They're like all of us. They're all really sweet. And, worst case scenario, maybe you don't get a response.
Yeah. I know. And people are so afraid of that. I'm like, what's the big deal? It's just like an email.
It's just an email.
Or a message,
Yep, that's right.
Okay. So, in your experience, like what are some ways that you can improve your chances of winning, like an award or a grant or an opportunity like this?
Well, a lot of it comes down to common sense. Mm-hmm. So I can't overemphasize common sense enough because honestly, we get great submissions, but sometimes we get submissions where I feel like people think this is a raffle. And if they just throw their name in the hat, they have a chance of winning. And that is not true. You got to put the work in. So the first and most important thing is presentation. This is you, this is your business, and this is your brand. So put together something you can be proud of. So put it in a binder, make it color consistent with your brand and logo. Add those visual flourishes that are consistent with your branding and your collateral. Make this a representation of you and your work. And don't just jot it off on your printer, stuff it in an envelope, crumpled up, and think that's not going to communicate something to the jury. It will. It communicates very loud and clear how much time and attention you put into this. The second thing I would say is do your research. Be choosy. I really believe awards are a great part of our marketing strategy, but that does not mean you should do this shock and awe campaign and hit every award out there.
Yeah.
You should really pick the ones that are a good fit with you and your work, and make sure you're consistent with what you're presenting and what that award is trying to do. So I'll give you an example. If you're trying to enter an award put on by the Diamond Council and you have a bunch of stuff on your social media about diamonds being outdated and socially irresponsible, you know what?
Probably
the jury's going to see that. And it's egg on your face at that point. So, choose things that are a legitimate good fit for you and what you're doing. Make sure you meet the qualifications and make sure, it's a good fit on both sides. And kind of to segue from that, I'd say if you're going to be successful, you need to put yourself in the shoes of the sponsors and the strategy they have around this grant program or award program. So every one of these awards programs is out there for a reason. They may be promoting a particular type of material or stone. They may be promoting a certain type of business ownership or business strategy. What are the goals of the award in general? And how can you make sure you speak to that in your application and show that you're strategically aligned with that vision and you get it?
Okay, cool.
And then lastly, I think I already touched on this before. Just remember that the people judging these awards are volunteers. They're human. They're putting lots and lots of hours into reading these applications and going through photos. If you can make them laugh and make them cry, make yourself stand out in a way that shows, you understand that. You understand this is a tough process and you can show some of your personality and try and connect with them through your writing or your visuals. Jurors and judges really respond to that. It gets a little monotonous sometimes, I won't lie. You got to read a lot of things. And sometimes it feels like homework.
And if you need help writing, maybe, if it's something important, engage with someone or hire someone who you can tell your story to, and they can actually communicate your story in an onboarding way that's exciting or fun.
Yeah. And I love that you brought up asking for help, because I think that is so important. Again, there's a lot of shyness and fear when you enter an award. But again, that mindset change, this is part of my marketing. I want to run this by some friends and family and maybe a mentor in my trade and get some feedback. I think that's a great idea, because you know what? None of us are good at everything. And, using your peers and colleagues as a sounding board is so, so helpful.
Absolutely. Amazing. Like, I loved all this. I'm like super pumped. I want to go find some awards to apply to right now.
Good. I'm so glad. You're going to knock them dead, Tracy.
So I have a quick question for you. This is so random, and I want to talk about the Halstead grant in a moment, but is there a place where people can find like all these, or is it just really about doing research online and stuff like that?
All of the awards out there?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot.
I do not know of a list. You guys should put one together on Flourish and Thrive.
I know. That's what I'm thinking. I have like a million ideas for lists and things that we need to start curating. And one of them is an awards list. Someone else asked for something else the other day. So I'm like, you know what? I think that we're going to eventually be the portal for all this information for designers.
That would be awesome. There are so many, small business grants, even outside of jewelry, creativity grants. There's just so much out there. So yeah, seize the day.
I know. But the best grant really is the Halstead grant. So why don't we talk a little bit more about that?
You got it. You got it. So the deadline, note on your calendars right now, the deadline is August 1st. It is in the summer every year, though the date shifts a little bit sometimes. It is a pretty lengthy application, so don't delay. Start looking at it early if you're interested. The Halstead Grant is an award for an emerging jewelry artist who started their business, started selling jewelry within the last 3 years. So that is a criteria we really stick to. The award itself is $7,500 for the winner, plus $1,000 in supply credit at Halstead. And then we also recognize a top 10 set of finalists with smaller cash prizes and recognition in media. So we are really proud to present this award every year. And I can't tell you how meaningful it has been on my end and all the just amazing jewelry artists we've been able to connect through this program. It's just really near and dear to my heart.
I love it so much because I've seen, it's exciting for me to see people that I know actually win or like get recognized. So it's pretty cool for me to see this and to see, we all put so much hard work into our business. I hate to position it this way, but I remember applying for grants and awards and I would be like, what if I win this, it would change my business in so many ways. And if you think about that, for a small business owner, $7,000-$8,000 and a supply credit and even these smaller cash prizes really makes a big difference, in the, short term and the long term. Think if you had an entire season collection just paid for or more. So,
right.
It's a great opportunity to really take advantage of not only learning more about your business and mapping out a business plan and thinking in detail of the things that you need to have in order for your business, but also, funding your business. A lot of people are always asking how do I get investors? I don't really think that's the first place to start. I think finding grants and, really thinking through the process of how you're going to build a business and applying for something like the Halstead grant or just applying for the Halstead grant as well. For sure, applying for it if you're within the parameters. It's just a great way to invest in your business without having to give away any part of your business or deal with some of the other things that come along with finding investors, which are not easy to find. So
that's right. And it's such a positive affirmation just to get that feedback that, you're doing something right.
I know.
You're on the right track. That's huge.
Exactly.
And a lot of our winners talk about that being just the most important aspect aside from all the other benefits, just getting that feedback that, yeah, this is going to work. This is the right path. It's really important.
And it's so fun. I mean, I remember just starting out and having those little pieces of encouragement along the way. And it really does help build confidence and stamina and momentum and, all those things. So where can people find out about the grant? Actually, what I'm going to do is I'll make a special link and it's going to be flourishthriveacademy.com/Halstead grant.
Awesome.
And that way you can just give me the link and we can make sure that all the traffic's going to the right page so we don't send them to something or people don't misspell it or something like that. And
that's fantastic.
You will be seeing a lot of, if you're on our email list, if you're not on our email list, get on the list because you're going to hear more about this, but head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/Halstead grant. You can download the application right there and learn about, I think you can learn about last year's winners, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. All of our past winners, all 10 years worth. Yes.
All 10 years worth of winners, and have an opportunity to really think about it. Do it sooner than later so you have time to think about it. You definitely don't want to be applying for this on July 31st because I've seen the application, and this is not to discourage anyone, but it really does require some thought and some thoughtfulness to put into it, and really you thinking through your business and what's next for you and who your target market is and all that stuff. So
that's right. And Flourish and Thrive has so many great resources to kind of help you on that journey.
Yes. And we're here to help you. So if you need help, you know where to lean on. And I'm excited for you guys, Hillary, because this is going to be awesome. And I cannot wait to hear who the winner is for 2017.
Me too. I'm excited already.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Tracy. You take care.
Thank you so much for being here today, you guys. And it is a pleasure to have had Hillary on the show. And I'm just beyond thrilled to announce that the Halstead grant is now open for enrollment and open for application, I guess you should say. And it was really fun because one of the runners up from the Halstead grant last year is in our mastermind program this year, Kristen Baird. And one of our masterminds last year actually was also a runner up. And that was Heather from Bohemian Jewelry. So this is a great opportunity. We want to have more Flourish and Thrivers apply and more Flourish and Thrivers win. And hopefully this year, a Flourish and Thrive Academy member will be the winner of the grant. That is our biggest dream and hope. It would be so amazing. So head on over to halsteadbead.com/grant to apply. That's halsteadbead.com/grant. All right. Thank you so much for listening today. Of course, that grant link is going to be linked in the show notes, so don't you worry about that. I'm thrilled to have Hillary on the episode today, and I hope that you're a smart cookie and apply for the grant. And thanks for showing up. Until next time, this is Tracy Matthews signing off.